The story starts in Auckland, New Zealand, as local young man Axel Johnson emerges from a suburban bottle store, carrying beer. His flatmates Zeb and Gaia trail after him. Axel is looking up, where a meteor shower is lighting up the sky. Suddenly a car is bearing down on Axel. He dives out of the way, in the nick of time. The woman driving the car, Stacy, looks to back up and reverse over the prone Axel, but Gaia is in the way, so she slips a dagger into her boot, gets out of the car, and feigns profuse apology. Axel, of course, invites the woman who has just tried to kill him to a party at his house, and so begin the 21st birthday celebrations for Axel Johnson. We meet Axel's brothers, Mike, with his wife Valerie, looking at the shooting stars, worrying, Anders, talking a lycra-clad promo girl out of her huntress uniform, and into his bed, Ty, taking it on the chin as a woman dumps him, in the nicest possible way. These are the brothers Johnson, and we start to get hints of their powers, Anders' power of seducing with words, and Ty freezing wine in a glass. Meanwhile, Axel finds himself outside the party at his flat, on a trampoline, getting to know Stacy more intimately. As they kiss, she pulls the dagger from her boot, and is about to strike, when suddenly, an earthquake hits, throwing them both from the trampoline. As people rush from the house, Stacy's dagger is recovered by Zeb. Seeing her chance to kill Axel is gone, Stacy disappears into the night. The next day, Mike is orchestrating the gathering of the brothers as another Johnson, Olaf, makes one of his typically late arrivals. Ty rounds up Anders, who is very much the black sheep of the family, and Axel, and off to the forest they go for a traditional ceremony, the purpose of which still being kept secret from Axel. It is in the forest, in front of his brothers and Olaf, who he is told is his grandfather, not his cousin, that Axel is taught the true nature of his family. They are human incarnations of Norse gods. Naturally, Axel doesn't warm up to this idea at first, suspecting it is some kind of elaborate prank. But after some displays of godly power involving the throwing of swords, and the playing of paper, rock, scissors, he starts to get on board, and they begin tell him the history of the Norse gods and how they settled in central Hawke's Bay, in New Zealand. The reason they are in the forest is so that Axel too can become a god on his 21st birthday. Eventually he is persuaded to remove his clothes, step into the circle of stones from Asgard, and to raise the family sword above his head, at which point in time he is struck by lightning from a clear blue sky, and the forest fills with light. When it subsides, everyone turns to Olaf, the family oracle, to announce which god Axel has become. But Olaf has been blown off his feet, and is speaking in Norse gibberish, only one word of which has any relevance to the proceedings here, Odin. And with this everything changes for the brothers, because if Axel is Odin, then their world just got turned on its head. As they wait for Olaf to rejoin them in the land of the living, and clarify the situation, life goes on for the Johnson family, which means Axel's 21st, at Mike's house. For Axel this is a period of frustration because suddenly his family are treating him differently because he may, or may not be this Odin dude. But it's not like he's suddenly got any superpowers or anything. Even worse, he's not allowed to tell anyone about his godhood. Meanwhile, across town, there are a group of women, including Stacy, who are not pleased that they have missed their chance to kill Axel. The woman seemingly in charge, Agnetha, is adamant that having missed their chance, now they must wait and see, along with everyone else. Axel's 21st is, on one level, what you would expect from a typical Kiwi 21st, a lot of people drinking to excess and behaving badly. But there are things going on other levels. Olaf is still passed out in Axel's old bedroom, and Axel learns that their parents were also gods. He is told that when his father left them for the sea, his overwhelmed mother walked into a forest to become a tree. Treasured moments in Johnson family history. Then Anders turns up with a couple of promo girls in tow, as a birthday present to the future Odin, which leads to a fight with Mike about the nature and responsibilities of being a god. When Olaf finally regains consciousness, there is a hurried congress of the brothers, gods, to learn the story of Odin's return, which breaks down to the fact that there are a series of signs that must be fulfilled before it can categorically be stated that he has returned. Axel ticks all the boxes on these signs: earthquake, meteor shower, the harbor turning red with an algae bloom, etc., except the last one. He shall have two hearts, the heart of man and a heart of the earth. Axel, as far as he is aware, only has one heart. Not thrilled at the way this whole Odin thing is turning out for him, Axel is keen to leave the party. Gaia, on the verge of telling, showing Axel the feelings she harbors for him, is keen that they leave together. And for a second this looks on the cards, until Axel feels someone looking at him. He turns to see one of the goddesses, Michelle, in the guise of one of the promo girls. Gaia is forgotten in a hurry, as Michelle lures Axel away from the party, and into the night. When they learn Axel has gone, Mike, Anders and Ty give chase, with Mike actually using his godly powers as Uller, god of the hunt, to guide them. It is Ty who arrives just in time to see Michelle fire an arrow into Axel's chest. At the hospital, Axel survives his wounding, but the metal arrowhead remains wedged in his chest, giving him the heart of the earth that completes the signs. Axel is the living incarnation of Odin, all-father and leader of souls, god of wisdom, victory and magic. But there is one final twist. Because as Odin, Axel gains not powers, but a quest to find the human incarnation of Odin's true love, the goddess Frig, and to be reunited with her. If he dies before achieving this quest, then all his family will die along with him, and a resulting natural disaster will likely kill everyone in their area. Poor Axel, who is laying in the hospital bed, sarcastically says, "Great, no pressure then." A few days later, and rather too quickly after a life-threatening surgery, Axel and Anders are sitting around a bar, chugging an ungodly amount of beer. Axel seems to be happy to be alive, while Anders, like everyone else, has a more pressing concern in his mind. Anders tells his brother that he should begin searching for Frigg, as their entire existence hinges on it. Axel, on the other hand, is in no hurry to do so, especially so soon after a woman planted an arrow in his chest. Furthermore, the youngest brother in the family says that he will wait for a sign from Olaf to search for his soul mate. Anders points out that if anything unfortunate happens to Axel, before that, not just their family but the entire community around them will face cataclysmic disaster. The young man seems extremely bothered by this fact, and remains quiet for once. Anders then suggests that his little brother should sleep around with each and every woman around him until he finds Frigg. Disturbed by this suggestion, Axel diverts the topic, saying that the name Frigg sounds rather too cold for a goddess. The scene shifts to a local maternity clinic where Mike and Valerie are sat down in front of a gynecologist. Apparently, this is the second time they have tried to have a baby through IVF. Unfortunately for them, this complicated process has once again failed. Valerie is left extremely confused as to what is going wrong. She says that she and her husband did everything by the book, everything that the doctor asked them to do, and yet they cannot seem to be able to conceive a child. The gynecologist then replies that, at Valerie's age, the chances for conception are extremely low. This seems to annoy her even more, and Valerie snaps back, saying she knows what the rate of conception for women her age are. Suddenly, Mike, who has been listening to this conversation quietly, begins to zone out of the whole thing. He begins to imagine the doctor telling him about the real reason that Valerie can't seem to conceive a child. The doctor takes out a comically childish chart and says that Mike's god sperms are not compatible with Valerie's human eggs. These might appear to be normal to the human eye, but in reality Mike's godhood is the main reason why he can't have a baby with Valerie. However, the doctor then alludes to the possibility that, now, with the return of Odin, anything might be possible. This is when Mike snaps back to reality and finds himself staring emptily at the gynecologist. As the husband and wife come out of the clinic, Valerie asks why Mike was zoning out during the consultation. The latter replies that he doesn't want her to go through the grueling process of trying to conceive and carry a baby once more. But Valerie, who is unaware of his god status, kisses her husband on the neck and says that she will go through any process to have their baby. As the husband and wife are sharing a tender moment together, Mike suddenly gets a phone call. He picks it up while Valerie gets back into their car. Mike, however, gets news that wipes the color off his face. We get a flashback to when Mike was 21 and first knew he was a god. Valerie was also present in his life, but rather surprisingly, it seems that she didn't start off as his girlfriend. Instead, she was busy smooching his best friend Rob. Back in the present day, the scene shifts to a hospital where we see Rob, who is now in a coma. He has been in this condition for a while now, and has no idea that Valeria is now his best friend's wife. Turns out, the earliest call was the hospital where the husband and wife learn that Rob's condition has changed. Every once in a while a tear rolls down his face, but more importantly he seems to be speaking ancient Norse. This is the very same language that Olaf did when he zoned out during Axel's entry into his godhood rites. It is obvious that this revelation disturbs Mike greatly. In the meantime, Anders is not at all content to allow nature to take its course, and has decided that despite Mike's directive that he must get Axel laid. Axel says that he is interested in someone, but Anders tells him to just have sex with her and find out whether or not she is Frigg, and then move on, because the lives of all of the brothers are dependent upon Axel finding Frigg. Before he dies, Anders is not prepared to wait. At his office, he looks through model catalogs because he has determined that Frigg must be a model since she is a god. He centers in on an attractive athlete named Carla, in part because she posed for a picture exposing her breasts. What he does not know is that Stacy, the goddess Hel, has infiltrated his office to keep track of what the gods are doing. She quickly reports back to Agnetha, who is secretly the goddess Freyja, about what is going on. They are quite dismissive of Anders' reasoning, and make a point of saying that he is not the brightest of gods. Agnetha decides to beat them at their own game by having Ingrid, who is Snorta the goddess of wisdom, and Prudence, work on a genealogy to figure out who Frig really is. In the meantime, Axel has a date with a friend of Gaia's. Things go really well, though she makes it clear that he will not be sinking the pink. She asks him on a second date, to which he happily agrees. Things are set to go until Anders shows up with a plan to get Axel laid with Carla, though Axel is intimated. Because he is a 21-year-old virgin, Anders promises that with him as his wingman everything will be okay. Axel cancels his date and shows up at the game to be a replacement for the mascot, who broke his foot. The fight breaks out between the two mascots, and at home watching is Ty, who very quickly calls Mike and Olaf. Axel heads back to Anders, where he proceeds to have sex with the young woman after she has had quite a bit to drink. In the living room, Mike and Anders are arguing over this course of action. Mike is extremely worried about the repercussions of this action. When Axel orgasms, Carla passes out, and he runs into the living room screaming, believing that he has killed her. The brothers rush into the room, and despite shaking her, Carla does not wake. Finally, someone suggests that Ty touch her with his cold hands to give her a shock. Carla wakes up with the brothers looking at her, and is not happy. Axel leaves with Mike, and on the way home, Mike again warns him that when people get involved with gods, there is always a consequence. In telling Axel why he should be careful, we get another flashback scene. It seems that when Mike was 21 he was playing pool, and of course being a god, he couldn't lose. He kept taunting people to play against him, and when two bikers took up the challenge, Rob urged him to throw the game. But Mike didn't listen. After winning, he again taunted the bikers and suggested they should drop their pants. They became violent, and Mike was thrown on top of the pool table with the back of his head slamming against one of those balls. He apparently has been in a coma ever since. When Axel enters his apartment, he finds that his roommate and her friend are waiting for him. It seems that they attended the game unbeknownst to him to support him, and saw him leaving with the athlete. He tries to claim that it wasn't what it looked like, but she simply tells him that she is not interested in players and leaves. Axel is starting to notice strange new stuff in his godly world, like how women are paying more attention to him. Oracle Olaf puts this down to what might be called the zebra effect, which, once you get through Olaf logic, translates as these women know there is something different about Axel, but they're not sure what. One of the women who seems to be paying attention to Olaf is Sonia, a librarian. Axel likes it when she smiles at him and questions himself if she could possibly be the Frig. Ty is also experiencing weird stuff when it comes to the ladies. An emergency call out to fix the beer fridge at an inner-city club leads to a passionate encounter over apple martinis with Helen, the bar owner. In the throes of this passion, Ty feels warmth he hasn't felt since before he became a god. Olaf feels this is a lot of women-related issues for one day, and he needs to ponder this. This leaves both Axel and Ty to chart their own course through life for a while. So Axel decides to take things further with Sonia, which is when she throws a huge curveball his way by confirming that yes, indeed, she is Frig. Axel never ever imagined the quest would be quite this easy. His brothers are also suspicious, but give Axel the go-ahead to pursue Sonia. So Axel does, and gets thrown yet again when Sonia invites him to a party of gods at her house. Meanwhile, Ty takes things further with Helen, and starts to fall in love with her, like he does so often. But when he and Helen finally consummate their lust, it starts snowing in Ty's living room. Out of this unusual occurrence it emerges that Helen is, in fact, the goddess Idun, grantor of youthfulness. But when Ty takes this news to Olaf, the family oracle has bad news for him, for as Odin is destined to be with Frigg, Idun or Helen's destiny lies not with Hodder or Ty, but with Bragi or Anders. If Helen ever claps eyes on Anders, she will fall madly in love with him, and will not end well for Helen. In this moment, Ty's heart is broken again as he realizes that he can never be with Helen. Axel, meanwhile, goes to the god party and discovers that, first, Sonia is only the goddess Frigg in a Norse mythology-themed online game, and second, the actual goddesses, in the form of Michelle, have got there before him. In the sword fight that follows, Axel learns that there is an alliance of goddesses dedicated to stopping Axel, or Odin, achieving his quest. In this way, the Johnson boys learn that they are fighting a war. Ty breaks up with Helen or Idun, which she seems to take in her stride much easier than he does. Olaf attempts to console him over a drink, but is of no consolation at all. Then Dawn enters the bar, fleeing a hen party gone feral, and she smiles at Ty and he smiles back. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave 1,000 likes or 100 comments if you'd like us to continue part 2. Thank you.